Somehow, there's a stir in the back seats. Looking closely, a man is kneeling, holding a bouquet of roses. Suddenly, a live violin performance or something starts playing. It seems like he's gonna propose. "I'll make you happy, even for my late wife." I heard my husband's voice. "Oh, that idiot," I thought, clutching my head. Applause and cheers are rising from the other customers watching. "Yes, I'd love to. The bouquet and the ring are lovely. I'm super happy. Please take care of me forever." I heard the mistress Charlotte's adorable, clear voice. She must be quite moved, her voice seems to quiver slightly. An even larger cheer erupted. I would have been moved too if it weren't my own husband. It's the kind of proposal every girl dreams of. But no matter how many times I rubbed my eyes, the one proposing was indeed my own husband. I exchanged glances with Emily and quietly stood up, moving towards the table where my husband was. "Hello, your supposedly dead ex-wife here. Is this life number 2, perhaps? Seems I'm still in this world." The faces of my husband and Charlotte turned pale. "My name is Olivia Moore, 39. My husband John is 40, and we have one son and one daughter. Our son entered college this year, renting a place near the university and leaving home. Our daughter Emily is a freshman in high school this year. She's really enjoying her high school life, which has me worried she might go off the rails. She'd probably say I'm being overly concerned. My parents are divorced, and my mother, who raised me, had bad habits with men and alcohol, so we could never have a stable life. I didn't want my children to experience that. My life was so miserable that I decided to leave home and get married as soon as possible. So, I left home as soon as I graduated from high school and married my now husband, then immediately had my son, and Emily was born 3 years later. My husband, a senior from my high school, was working in an IT startup. I've admired him since my high school days, and once I graduated, I practically moved right into his apartment. He didn't kick me out, and somehow, we just went with the flow and got married because I was pregnant. We were young, had numerous big fights, and even screamed about divorcing each other several times. We've always had honest discussions with each other, and I think that's why we're still married today. There's also the fact that I didn't want our kids to experience the loneliness I felt being raised by a single parent. Back in our 20s, being young and all, my husband would leave the 3 of us to go out whenever his friends invited him. Both of us were busy with our work, and while I also worked as a full-time employee, I was mostly solo parenting. I wanted to raise our children to be sturdy and disciplined them firmly every day. My husband probably didn't really know how to interact properly, but he didn't help with the childcare. He did attend sports days and open school days, but mostly turned a blind eye to other things. Before we knew it, amid the daily hustle and bustle, the kids grew up. My son told me he got into his dream college and left the house. I was lonely and fell into a son-loss depression. Even when I tried to distract myself by talking to my husband, I was dismissed as annoying. Then, using busyness at work as an excuse, he started to be away from home more often. My husband, still in his 30s, was successful at work, and we lived comfortably without worrying about money, so he lived almost like a single man, juggling work and leisure. Seeing me looking lonely, Emily started keeping me company. "Mom, wanna go eat some yummy sweets next time?" I went to eat them with my friends after school, and they were super delicious. She managed her time with friends and took me out. "Emily, you sure? Wouldn't you rather hang out with your friends?" Being a high school freshman, it's the age where one tends to find their mother bothersome. Actually, when I was a high school freshman, I couldn't stand my mother. "It's okay, Mom." The other day, a friend asked me if I had an older sister. They were surprised when I said it's my mom. "Of course, you're still in your 30s. My friend's mom had her at your current age. So I thought you need to catch up on everything you missed until now." I was glad she grew up to be such a kind girl. Indulging in her words, I went out with Emily more than once a month. One day, we were walking and talking about going to eat shaved ice as usual. Emily suddenly stopped in her tracks. Thinking she'd dropped something, I asked, "What's up?" You startled me stopping like that suddenly. But Emily was frozen, unmoving. The moment I followed her gaze, I was also stunned. There, claiming to have gone to work, was my husband, walking arm in arm with a young, cute girl in her early 20s. I usually act or speak before thinking, but this time, I too was paralyzed. It felt like I was submerged up to my chest in a dark swamp. Emily was the first to move. She said, pulling out her smartphone, "Mom, we gotta follow them. We have to confirm if that's really Dad." Snapping back to myself with those words, Emily and I followed the two discreetly, ensuring they didn't notice us. "He looks just like Dad. He's wearing the same clothes he wore when he said, 'See you' to us this morning. What's the deal with that woman? Isn't she about the same age as my brother?" Emily spoke with a genuine tone of disgust. Indeed, seeing Dad walking along, all smiles with a girl about your own age, must have been pretty revolting. I felt the same way. Seeing a husband gleefully and affectionately walk with a young girl was visibly disgraceful. And I felt my anger slowly boiling within me. I couldn't forgive my betraying husband. I was absolutely gonna get revenge on the two of them. "Mom, let's go all out." Emily, too, was furious, and together as mother and daughter, we decided to strategize what to do next. Even though we witnessed my husband's infidelity, life for us three didn't change particularly. To be honest, I was utterly disgusted at the thought of taking care of such a man, and it made me feel sick to my stomach. However, to execute our revenge, I had to pretend as though nothing was amiss. It was a considerable stress for me, but if it got out that we knew about my husband's affair, our revenge would be ruined. On the other hand, I also held a faint hope that, day by day, my husband would admit to his affair honestly. But such a confession would likely only come when broaching the subject of divorce. As always, my husband would come home several times a week in the middle of the night and was certain to go out claiming work or business entertainment on either Saturday or Sunday. Each time, the evidence of his infidelity piled up. As a last chance, I decided to invite my husband out to dinner. A trendy Italian place had opened up in the neighborhood, and Emily had been wanting to go there too. It was right around Halloween, and they were offering a service where if you dressed up on Halloween Day, they would give you 30% off your meal. Since Emily's birthday is on November 5th, I also wanted to make an early reservation for an early birthday party there. I called out to my husband, who had unusually come home early. "Hey, John. Wanna go to that Italian place for dinner on Halloween? They have a discount service if we dress up a bit. We can also have Emily's birthday party." My husband, with an uninterested look, said, "Won't it be busy that day? I don't think we need to go out on such a day unnecessarily. Let's go on her birthday." Would he really come home early on the actual birthday? Her birthday is on a Friday night, and he hasn't come home early for the past few months. Is that so? They also rent out the place for parties, so I'll check in advance, okay? It's on a Friday, but that should be all right, right? I emphasized again. My husband nonchalantly nodded and withdrew to our room, smartphone in hand. The restaurant, in fact, had a variety of full services, like renting out for parties and live music performances for birthdays. That was one of its appeals. It's a bit early for Emily's birthday, but let's book for Halloween. And then, on Halloween itself. Being a Sunday, my husband went out as usual. He was dressed a bit fancy today, so he's probably going to some Halloween party. Emily and I had planned to leisurely stroll around the town, decked out for Halloween. Emily might have been invited by her friends, but since I'd made a reservation at that restaurant quite early, it'd be a waste to cancel. So, she chose to go out and dine with me. During the day, we went shopping, peeking into various shops, ate sweets, and strolled through the Halloween-decorated streets. As it got close to our reservation time, we dressed up for Halloween and went to the Italian restaurant. The restaurant was also set up for Halloween and was a bit dimly lit. Most of the customers inside seemed to be in some sort of costume. The Italian restaurant lived up to its reputation. The presentation was beautiful and the taste was top-notch. It was while we were chatting, having finished up through dessert, that it happened. Somehow, there's a stir in the back seats. Looking closely, a man is kneeling, holding a bouquet of roses. Suddenly, a live violin performance or something starts playing. It seems like he's gonna propose. It must be the service of this restaurant that was written about in the online reviews.
Charlotte, I'll make you happy, even for my late wife.
I heard my husband's voice. Oh, that idiot. I thought, clutching my head. Applause and cheers are rising from the other customers watching.
Yes, I'd love to. The bouquet and the ring are lovely. I'm super happy. The meal is amazing. You're amazing too. Please take care of me forever.
I heard the mistress Charlotte's adorable, clear voice. She must be quite moved, her voice seems to quiver slightly. An even larger cheer erupted. I would have been moved too if it weren't my own husband. It's the kind of proposal every girl dreams of. But no matter how many times I rubbed my eyes, the one proposing was indeed my own husband. I exchanged glances with Emily and quietly stood up, moving towards the table where my husband was.
Hello, your supposedly dead ex-wife here. Is this life number 2, perhaps? Seems I'm still in this world.
The faces of my husband and Charlotte turned pale. They looked as if they had seen a ghost.
Just in costume, not a resurrected zombie. I'm not really dead. Everyone, please be at ease.
The restaurant went instantly silent. Even the violinist, who was playing live music, stopped. Who are you? My wife is deceased, I'm afraid. My husband, still trying to play dumb at this point. My pent-up anger exploded. You idiot. No sooner had I said it, I slapped him hard across the face. He seemed completely bewildered. Having a bouquet and proposing on one knee was supposed to be a once-in-a-lifetime big play, but suddenly, with his wife and daughter showing up, the stage was turned 180 degrees. I was a bit stuck on the fact that he hadn't proposed to me in such an elaborate way, but now I need a proper explanation more than that.
Don't just send people to heaven on your own. Who is this woman? Were you cheating?
It seems he had forgotten how scary I can be when angry because I had been so calm at home recently. My husband was frozen, astonished that his affair was discovered, and unable to move under my barrage of insults. He wasn't unconscious, but he didn't seem to comprehend what was happening in front of him. His mind must be in utter panic. He would never have dreamed that Emily and I would be here.
What's going on, John? Didn't you say about 6 months ago that your wife had passed away and you were so lonely you couldn't stand it?
His mistress looked a bit older than Emily, but still in her early 20s. She had a somewhat flashy appearance, with modern makeup, and was dressed head to toe in obviously high-end brands.
Surprised? Sorry, you loose woman. Unfortunately for you, I'm very much alive and kicking, and not even sick. What do you mean, sticking your hands into someone else's husband?
That's right, I knew everything. I worked at a friend's law firm and had a detective acquaintance investigate her. Although she had heard about it half a year ago, I heard that she had been dating my husband for almost a year. Just an old lady. Johnny said I'm cuter. And look.
This bag. He bought it for me for my birthday. Nice, right? Bet you and your daughter have never gotten anything like this, huh?
Charlotte was completely defiant. It's true, Emily and I had never received such expensive gifts. We're not interested in luxury brands and have never wanted to buy them, but if my husband actually bought the bag because he was begged to, that's a big problem. Even though we are not struggling with money now, it's unthinkable to gift a bag that costs several $1,000s. I was momentarily lost for words at that.
See? I'm the one who is loved more.
Too bad for you, old lady.
John buys me anything I say I want.
She began to boast as if this was her moment. I was simply infuriated. Is this bratty little girl more important than me? My head started spinning with shock and anger. I've had a habit since way back. When I get furious, I grind my teeth. Even now, I was on the verge of grinding my teeth hard.
Huh? Charlotte? You're Sophia's older sister, right? Do you remember?
We played with Sophia back in the day, didn't we? Emily interjected with a surprised-sounding voice from the side.
Sophia was saying she's lonely since her sister ran away from home, you know?
What a coincidence to meet you here. Even Charlotte, normally so composed, was left dumbfounded. She must be surprised to be suddenly spoken to. Moreover, suddenly being acquaintances with Emily, even being called a runaway girl. Sophia that Emily spoke of to Charlotte was her best friend since she was in the 8th grade. Speaking of which, I remembered that this spring, Emily had said she was worried because her best friend's sister had run away from home.
What? I don't know any Sophia, and of course, I don't know you either. You and your daughter both look like idiots.
Charlotte, having come back to her senses, retorted to Emily, but she clearly couldn't hide her agitation.
John, what do you think you're doing, going after such a young girl? Think about your age. It's disgusting.
My husband, who had been wide-eyed and gazing around at the women's argument, was suddenly panicking, noticing all eyes on him. He probably couldn't think of how to control this situation. The excuse he must have thought of desperately spilled out from his mouth.
No, well, you see.
She just said she wanted to experience a romantic proposal like this once, so I just indulged her. There's no way I'm serious, right? The only one I love is Olivia. He seemed to have decided to abandon Charlotte. He probably wanted to avoid disillusioning his daughter Emily, who was watching as much as possible.
Shut up. Divorce it is. It's obvious, isn't it? What's this I love you now? There's no way I can believe that.
If it were possible to knock someone down with a gaze, without a doubt, I would have knocked down my husband John and Charlotte with mine. With the word divorce out there, I became a little calmer. The other customers around us were staring at us, wondering what was going to happen. Then, a loud voice echoed.
Hey! John! What the hell are you doing?
It was John's company's CEO. In fact, I'd already spoken to the CEO about the situation. Having my husband's return home time and communication logs, everything was kept under control. Being the CEO of an IT startup, he was skilled in computer operations and played a crucial role in gathering evidence of adultery.
I might be pretty laid back, but I believe a man who doesn't value his family is not trustworthy. Family is the only thing you can rely on in the end, not money or work.
My husband knew that, and he always took me and the kids to company events. So, when I first consulted him about my husband's affair, the CEO didn't take it seriously. However, when I showed the CEO evidence photos collected by the detective and asked for his cooperation, he immediately agreed.
This is a mistake. You heard what I said, right? This is all just a charade to fulfill her wishes.
John tried to talk his way out of it, trying to persuade the CEO while breaking out into a cold sweat. But such superficial excuses were never gonna work on the CEO.
You're so stubborn, John. I've forgiven work mistakes until now, but I can't forgive such ethically wrong behavior.
My husband realized that nothing could be done and dropped his shoulders. It seemed like he finally understood that his careless actions led to the worst possible outcome. It's cowardly to propose to another woman without even bringing up divorce to me. I was thoroughly disgusted with my spineless husband. Oh well, the worst. Johnny, it's unfortunate, but goodbye. I can't get married with this going on. I'll take the engagement ring as compensation for emotional distress. Charlotte, who had given up easily, grabbed several bags with brand names on them, presumably bought for her by my husband today, and the engagement ring in its box, and promptly tried to leave.
Hold on, Charlotte Taylor. There's a warrant out for your arrest on various charges.
Charlotte turned around with a start.
What? Mr. Detective? What have I done?
Though she spoke boldly, her hands were visibly trembling, perhaps out of nervousness. A detective acquaintance found out quickly during investigating my husband's affair that Charlotte was dating many men regardless of age. Moreover, every time she met someone, she was showered with money and branded goods. It seems she also went around brand shops with older men. At night, She seemed to work at a cabaret club, and perhaps due to being favored by customers who requested her, she lived in a luxury apartment. She often seduced men by hinting at marriage, and even seemed to engage in marriage fraud-like activities. The detective, hearing from the men who were dumped and alarmed by the severity, advised reporting to the police, leading to the issuance of a warrant this time.
Wait, police? I haven't done anything illegal. Changing your mind about marriage happens, and if he won't divorce his wife, I'll give up and have to take compensation. Make them pay for it and then abandon them? It's give and take in this world. I can't spend time with useless people. It's a waste.
She was an utterly terrifying woman, showing not a shred of remorse. It seemed she didn't think at all that she had hurt so many people. It must have been easy to make a sucker out of my husband. Just wave sweet words and rewards in front of him, and he'd do whatever you wanted, whether it be clothes, bags, cosmetics, or dinner at a luxury hotel. That being said, I have no intention of forgiving my husband's infidelity. We'll take it slow and talk at the station, young lady. Even if it doesn't turn into a criminal case, I'm sure the IRS will want to hear a lot from you too. Upon hearing the word IRS, even Charlotte paled considerably. She may never have paid taxes. Especially with the romantic business and the things received by seducing, it would probably be dusty if scrutinized. Johnny, this time, since I can't get married because of you, I'm gonna sue you for emotional distress damages. And because I had to reduce my work hours because of it, I'll be asking for business suspension compensation too. Her tenacity regarding money deserves praise. There might not be many people who can think that far. But I have something to say, too.
That's right. Then I will sue you for emotional distress damages. You knew you were having an affair, didn't you? So, I can claim, too.
Charlotte visibly paled even more. Although it might be a minor offense, it seems like she'll be caught by the police and likely face back taxes from the IRS, and on top of that, being required to pay emotional distress damages, she finally broke down.
Demand emotional distress damages from me?
Say it to Johnny.
Because he persistently chased after me, who was unwilling. He got carried away on his own, deciding on presents and marriage. I just went along with that nonsense.
Although she's desperately making excuses, she joyfully accepted the proposal in front of so many people, so those excuses won't work. Just when I thought the excuses would go on forever, the police detective asked her to come voluntarily, and she was taken to the police station. Of course, saying he needed to hear the circumstances, my husband was also taken with her. I, feeling the string of tension snap, and with my adrenaline also exhausted, slumped down on the spot. The CEO and Emily squatted down beside me, worrying if I was okay. Ever since Emily and I catched my husband in the act of cheating, I had been planning for this day. I'm truly glad that the operation was successful. I feel like jumping up and dancing, but I'm completely exhausted. Mom, it's good that you were able to punish them both firmly. Dad wouldn't have realized he was neglecting you without facing harsh consequences. Thinking that such a woman is better is, in itself, ridiculous, I think, Emily comforted me. Emily's right. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the inconvenience caused by our foolish employee. If anyone feels that their wonderful dinner has been ruined, I'll provide my business card. Please contact me directly. Sir, regarding the damages, I'll have the person in question take care of it, so please contact us when you have time. The CEO addressed the other customers, who were watching with keen interest, loudly. I can't thank the CEO enough. I expressed my gratitude to the CEO several times and returned home. The next night, my husband returned home. He seemed to have been thoroughly questioned by the police and learned his lesson. He apologized to me as soon as he saw my face, but of course, I have no intention of forgiving him. I just had him sign the prepared divorce papers and told him to leave the house with only his immediate belongings. My husband said, "Isn't it too cruel to make me leave with nowhere to go?" and seemed to be angry, but he shut his mouth with one glare from Emily, packed his things, and left the house. Afterwards, my attorney will handle the negotiations, but I'm supposed to get property division, consolation money, and child support from my husband. He has spent almost all of his discretionary money on Charlotte, so it's arranged to be paid in installments from his monthly salary, all through the company's CEO. Charlotte managed to settle everything and somehow avoided prosecution, but despite selling all her brand bags and clothes to make money, it seems to be not enough. The Taylor family was more in turmoil over the shenanigans their found daughter pulled off than the joy of finding her. They fronted the consolation money that the daughter couldn't pay, for me. Regarding taxes, they had her pay them herself, and once that was done, it seems like she's gonna repay the fronted amount to her family home. I didn't want to impose on Emily's best friend's family either, but there's nothing I can do about this. Sophia also told me that Emily and Emily's mom are not to blame, and I think that alone was a relief. But still, it seems like friendship has crumbled, and the Taylors are moving out. Emily, though disappointed about Sophia, has made a new best friend in high school and seems to be enjoying her youth. I also owe a lot to my workplace this time, so I'm working hard to repay the favor as much as possible. Although I can't become an attorney, I'm thinking of briskly doing what I can as an assistant. My son supported me fully, even though it was a post-factum report. He patted me on the back, saying it's gonna be okay because I'm a young, proud mom. I feel like I've had enough of marriage, but life is still ahead of me. Once the kids are independent, I'm thinking of challenging various things.